Welcome to the Learning to Love podcast. I'm Paul Moschetta.
And I'm Evelyn Moschetta. We are marriage counselors who are married and have been living and working together for over 40 years.
If you've been listening to our prior conversations, we hope it's clear that our main purpose is to paint a contrasting picture of what it looks like inside marriages and committed intimate relationships that are ego-based and those which come from your best self. In a relationship where your ego is in charge, your behavior and the values you hold will be mostly triggered reactions to personal fears and desires. On the other hand, when your best self guides your behavior, it expresses universal human values rather than triggered personal reactions. Abraham Maslow, the American psychologist famous for studying the healthiest members of the population, found that all of us have deep-rooted biological, psychological, and spiritual value needs. And when these value needs go unfulfilled, your happiness and peace of mind suffer greatly. Truth, harmony, and goodness are core human needs, and ignoring them makes you physically and spiritually sick. For example, by betraying your need for truth, you run the risk of becoming cynical, suspicious, dishonest, and incapable of trusting yourself and others. If you ignore your need for harmony, you suffer from confusion, conflict, and a sense of frustration about your life. And ignoring your need for goodness can make you sick from being disagreeable, selfish, and unkind. Truth, harmony, and goodness are considered eternal values because they are timeless and are relevant no matter what the situation or circumstance. In your everyday life, they can be practical tools to help you get free of your self-centered ego, releasing you from fear, self-doubt, and selfishness.
In marriage, there's a direct connection between the values you hold and the self you express to your partner. When your values come mainly from your ego self, you see your partner and other people as objects to use, and you act in selfish ways. When your values come from your best self, you see others, and especially your partner, as being like yourself, wanting to be happy and needing to be loved. These higher self, best self values lead you to right action. Now, right action is made up of healthy, sane behaviors because they leave no trace of guilt, shame, or regret. Practicing right action rearranges your consciousness so that your best self is up front in your awareness. For example, when truth is a shared value in your relationship, you act with personal integrity and you practice honesty with kind intentions. Kind intentions are important because honesty without kindness can be insensitive and cruel. Personal integrity means upholding the trust commitments we talked about in an earlier podcast. And this is what it means. 1, it means being sexually faithful, no cheating. 2, it means not saying yes when you really mean no. Trying to avoid a conflict by agreeing with your partner when you really don't never works. Your real feelings eventually come through and create a bigger mess than if you'd been honest in the first place. 2, it means no pretending to feel one way when inside you feel something else. Faking interest, enjoyment, or enthusiasm when it's really not there only creates confusion that leads to disappointment and hurt. 4, personal integrity means not covering up and denying hurt feelings because you don't want to risk having more pain. This may limit your pain in the short run, but it ensures more hurt down the road. Personal integrity means not bragging to make yourself look big because you feel so small. Feeling small is the real problem. Check out your inner dialogue and zero in on negative self-images that you find there. Refuse to repeat them to yourself. Cut off energy supply to them, and they will wither away. 6, it means no outright lying. Measure whatever benefit you think lying will bring against the fact that lies destroy trust, which is the very foundation of your marriage. Once the trust goes, you've got even bigger problems.
Once you've committed yourself to embracing truth as a core personal value, honesty and personal integrity will become a way of life for you. Each time you're successful in sticking to the truth, your selfish self loses power. Whenever you find yourself slipping into some kind of self-deception or fact distortion, just come back to your best self. Silently remind yourself that you don't have to pretend or lie to make yourself better than you actually are. Remind yourself that by living out your best self values, you're demonstrating your true nature, and nothing the ego has or wants is worth sacrificing that. Here are some ways to honor truth as a couple. First, make a pact together that underscores your commitment to be honest with one another. Make this commitment explicit by saying it out loud to one another. Publicly declaring your intention to be honest will boost your resolve and call forth your best self. Tell each other you'll be kind and understanding in the face of slip-ups that are bound to occur. Promise that neither one of you will show up as a critical parent, blaming and making the other wrong. Instead, put that energy into finding out the thoughts and feelings that led you to be less than honest in the first place. And whenever you can, share the process. Keep each other informed about your successes as well as your failures. This will reinforce your togetherness and your efforts toward personal integrity. The more you uphold truth, the more you'll feel completely at ease in each other's company. There's no pretense going on, no mind games being played, no secrets kept, no seeming to be one way while thinking or feeling something else. There's no controlling, manipulating, or scheming to outsmart one another. As long as these kinds of holdouts from personal integrity are going on, your marriage becomes more and more of a fiction, a make-believe story in which neither one of you will feel much commitment. And without commitment, leaving gets easy to do.
Truth creates a wonderful freedom and a relaxed way of being, because there is no need for defensiveness, no feeling tentative or on guard. When truth prevails, there can be complete spontaneity between two people. Living from the truth of your best self cracks through your blind spots and forces you to look. Joan and Melinda have been married for 4 years. Here is what Melinda says about personal integrity. Basic integrity is just part of my makeup, that's it. I can't live with myself if I'm not honest. I like myself, and I want to be able to live with who I am. I can't get away from myself. There's no escaping that. Knowing that I'm honest within myself holds me together. It gives me a sense of direction, and that's really important to me. Her wife, Joan, said, "Self-honesty is important to me. I've gotten much less afraid to know myself in an honest, clear way. In fact, I want to learn as much as I can about myself. Of course, I've known the other side of that, the hiding from myself and what that brings. Being sure about my own personal integrity, inside and outside with others, is what helps me keep my life in some kind of order. It gives me a sense of peace and wholeness." Having the courage to look honestly at yourself, at how you behave in your marriage, is a challenge you must face if you want to grow. If there's anything on your mind, without worry, you talk about it and deal with it directly. You are not afraid to be really honest with yourself and with each other, because both of you realize that this is the way you deactivate your ego and make room for your best self. Jim has been married 15 years. He describes his need for truth within himself and in his marriage. Integrity is important to me. If there's anything on my mind, without any worry, I'll be able to say it, to tell her, to talk to her about it. That is, to deal with it directly. I don't want to turn a blind eye to anything about myself or her. And I don't think you have to, if you're really honest with yourself and you're honest with each other. As Paul said earlier, honesty must always be motivated by kind intentions. For some couples, the only truth that shows up between them comes in a blast of anger, in which the intention is to hurt rather than to heal. This is a destructive way to use honesty. It should be avoided at all costs because it creates serious damage to trust. Honesty works best when it is tied to goodwill and a desire to foster feelings of love and caring. Personal integrity, practiced daily, upheld vigilantly, and repaired immediately is what creates truth in your marriage. Living from truth, your marriage grows, and the amount of personal joy and happiness you can experience is immeasurable.
We hope you'll put these pointers to good use in your relationship and look forward to speaking with you in our next broadcast.
Thanks for listening.